Right now, without thinking, you probably know exactly where your phone is. You can feel it in your pocket, on the desk beside you, face down on the table, even though you said you'd ignore it. And at some point in the last hour, you picked it up for no reason at all. You opened an app, you scrolled for a few seconds, you put it back down, and immediately forgot why you even picked it up. Here's the strange part. You are not weak. You are not distracted. You are not addicted in the way people mean when they say that word. Your brain is doing exactly what it was designed to do. And the people who built that small glowing rectangle in your pocket knew that before you ever touched it for the first time. The real reason you can't stop checking your phone has nothing to do with the phone at all. It goes back much further than that. It goes back to the oldest and most powerful system your nervous system has ever built. A system so effective, so deeply wired, that it still runs in the background of everything you do today, thousands of years after the environment it was built for disappeared. That system is called the dopamine loop. And once you understand how it actually works, you will never look at your phone the same way again. Most people think dopamine is the pleasure chemical, that every time something feels good, dopamine floods your brain and you feel rewarded. But that is not what dopamine actually does. Neuroscientist Wolfram Schultz spent years studying dopamine neurons in primates. He expected to find exactly what everyone assumed, that dopamine fires when the reward arrives, when the food appears, when the good thing happens. What he found was completely different. Dopamine did not fire when the reward arrived. It fired the moment the animal anticipated the reward might come. The anticipation, the possibility, the uncertain, tantalizing maybe. Your brain is not chasing pleasure. It is chasing the feeling that something pleasurable might be coming. Think about what happens when you pick up your phone. You do not know what is there. Maybe a message, maybe no messages, maybe something that makes you feel good, maybe nothing at all. That uncertainty is not a bug in how your phone works. It is the entire mechanism. Psychologist B.F. Skinner demonstrated this in the 1950s with a set of experiments that would later define how every major social platform and notification system on Earth was engineered. He placed animals in boxes with a lever. In one condition, pressing the lever always produced food. In another, pressing it produced food only sometimes, randomly, unpredictably. The animals that received food every time pressed the lever regularly. When the food stopped coming, they pressed a few more times and gave up. The animals on the random schedule pressed obsessively. They could not stop. When the food stopped, they pressed for hours, hundreds, sometimes thousands of times, long after any rational calculation would have told them to quit. The random reward is the most powerful behavioral driver ever identified in neuroscience, not the guaranteed reward, not even the good reward, the unpredictable one. Your phone is a Skinner box, and every time you open it, you pull the lever. But why did your brain develop this system in the first place? Because for most of human history, the world was genuinely unpredictable. Your ancestors were not sitting at desks or scrolling through curated timelines. They were moving through environments where everything was uncertain, where the rustle in the grass might be prey or might be a predator, where a berry might be food or might be poison, where a trail might lead to water or might lead to nothing. The brain that survived was not the one that relaxed and waited. It was the one that stayed alert, the one that kept scanning, the one that could not resist checking just one more time, because just one more check might mean the difference between eating and starving, between surviving and not. That hypervigilance was not a flaw. It was the most useful thing evolution ever built into you. Neuroscientist Judson Brewer, who has spent years studying craving and compulsive behavior, describes this as a trigger behavior reward loop baked so deeply into human neurology that it operates almost entirely beneath conscious awareness. You do not decide to check your phone. Something triggers the check. A moment of boredom, a slight social anxiety, the absence of stimulation. Your hand moves before your brain finishes forming the thought. And the notification sound was not chosen accidentally. That ping, that buzz, the small red circle appearing on an icon, these are designed triggers. Each one lands in the nervous system not as information, but as a signal. Something might have changed. Something might be there. The average person checks their phone 96 times per day, according to research from the app analytics company Asurion. That is once every 10 minutes across a waking day. And most of those checks return nothing urgent, nothing that required checking. But the loop does not care about the content. It cares about the pull, the not knowing, the moment between picking it up and seeing what is there. That moment is the dopamine spike, not what you find, the act of looking. Now here is the part that most conversations about phone addiction skip entirely. The engineers who built these systems understood exactly what they were doing. Sean Parker, one of the founding presidents of Facebook, said in 2017 that the platform was explicitly designed to exploit a vulnerability in human psychology. The question they asked, he said, was, how do we consume as much of your time and conscious attention as possible? The answer was to give people a little dopamine hit every once in a while because someone liked or commented on a photo or a post. This is a social validation feedback loop. It is exactly the kind of thing a hacker like Parker would come up with because he is exploiting a vulnerability in human psychology. He was not describing a theory, he was describing a design decision. Variable reward schedules, infinite scroll, which removes the natural stopping point of a page end. Autoplay, which removes the decision to choose the next thing. Social validation metrics that turn human connection into a number you can watch go up or down. Red notification badges on every app icon, the color red triggering evolutionary threat detection systems in the visual cortex. None of these are accidents. Each one is a decision made by people who understood at a technical level exactly how the dopamine anticipation loop works and how to keep it running as long as possible. But knowing this does not make you immune to it. That is the most unsettling part. You can read this. You can understand every mechanism described here. You can intellectually know with complete clarity that the pull you feel when your phone buzzes is an ancient survival response being hijacked by an interface built by behavioral engineers. And then, a few minutes after you put this down, your hand will move toward your phone again. Because the loop does not live in the part of your brain that understands things. It lives in the part that is older than understanding. The part that was scanning the grass for predators before your ancestors had language. The part that does not care about the source of the signal, only that a signal came. What you can do, however, is use the conscious part of your brain to change the architecture around it. Brewer's research on habit loops shows that awareness of the craving, truly noticing the physical sensation of the urge before acting on it, is one of the few interventions that can interrupt the automatic loop, not willpower, not restriction, noticing, naming the urge before it completes itself. Some people turn off all notifications, not to become monks, but because they understand that every ping is a lever pull invitation, and removing the ping removes the trigger. The behavior does not disappear, but without the trigger, the loop has to start from conscious choice rather than automatic response. Others use time constraints, not because they are disciplined, but because the brain's anticipation system is partially clock-driven. When a check is scheduled, uncertainty collapses. The dopamine hit diminishes because the outcome is no longer unknown. It becomes boring. And boring, in this case, is a kind of freedom. None of these are easy. Your brain will resist them because your brain, at a very deep level, still believes that checking matters, that missing the signal could be dangerous, that the next pull of the lever might finally produce something that makes all of it worth it. Somewhere in your nervous system, a very old, very capable piece of biological software is still scanning the grass, still waiting for the rustle, still certain that the next one might be important. The grass is gone, but the scanner never turned off. And tonight, when you reach for your phone for no particular reason, some part of you will understand just for a second exactly what is happening. The same thing that kept your ancestors alive in the dark, running perfectly, in the palm of your hand.